It's tea time with MahMah Tea.
Sammy was not just Sammy. He was also Sophie, aka the masculine aspect of Sophia. Hold on to your womb, ladies. This one gonna be a mother.
Oh my god.
Literally. Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. Sahaja L. I help women break narcissistic spells to accelerate generational healing and activate their divine femininity using ancient metaphysics. Before we dive in, let's think of the universe as a cosmic womb that transmits frequency through light codes. These codes are the algorithm to the program that we know of as the Matrix. Now, while the Matrix is thought to be a prison for light beings, it is actually a prism for light bringing. And one of the ways that it does this is through language and numbers. Numerologically speaking, each letter of the alphabet holds energetic value based on the frequency or vibration emitted. So anywhere there is an M or an we are referring to the mother. And where we see F, we think of the father. But Rev, by this logic, wouldn't that make Sophia the father instead? Well, yes, but only as it serves to remind us that she is merely a character in the narcissistic version of the story that claims her significance came from men. But I digress. On the surface, though, Sammy holds the essence of divine femininity for this very reason. Notice how it doubles down on the Ma with two M's? This also adds value to him being the primary asset to the spiritually dead, aka vampires, much like the world views black women today. Likewise, the mother frequency is also what holds weight with Smoke's character. Because after all, these were the only two black men in the movie who in many ways directly honored the womb. But more on that later. On another note, the name Sammy is Hebrew for God hears. The hearing being significant to his artistry, but also he who listens is he who hath wisdom. Thus how Sammy further connects to Sophia. Now on a previous video, I spoke on masculinity being an illusion because it is a memory, not a side of balance. And if you haven't seen that video, click the playlist below to get the full context because here is the why behind the message. Once Sophia projected herself into the masculine realm as the physical body, she had to remember who she was, much like Eve in the Garden of Eden, biting the fruit and birthing the ego to realize she was naked. Because once we transcend to the third dimension, our cosmic codes are embedded in our junk DNA and have to be unlocked. Therefore, we use the masculine energy, which is the action, the doing part of the third dimension, to remember the key to these codes, which activates our Christ consciousness. Side note, there are 9 dimensions of reality, and Christ consciousness is all 9 of them in one, which makes us, living and breathing, the 10th dimension. Merely because of our soul ability to alchemize our sexual, aka feminine energy, to materialize our thoughts. This is why Sammy was a musician and sexuality was the undercarriage of the entire film. Hence the various references to cunnilingus, which is communion for divine femininity. Additionally, notice the heightened seduction while Sammy performed. And as he reached the peak of his tempo, the building went up in flames until the roof and the walls came down. This is symbolic to the alchemization of the crystal or crystallized consciousness that occurs when your sexual energy is kept sacred. Sacred meaning unserving to the ego. Now here's where it's necessary to highlight Stack, but that's all I have to say about that, if you catch my drift. Furthermore, the fire in this scene also represents the soul urge, which is the life force. That is why we associate arousal with being in heat. And once you alchemize that heat at the point of climax, which is what they're showing us in that very scene, you give birth to new life, which is what we otherwise call magnetization. This is why Sammy's consciousness also transcended to the ancestral realm in this same moment. And that magnetism is also what attracted the vampires, which is symbolic to the energies we come across in real life. Speaking of birth and new life, us being the 10th dimension is relative to the tree of life, or the Sephiroth in Kabbalah, which is a Jewish symbol of divinity. Remember, everything is a frequency that vibrates into reality. The matrix that we live in is not a prison, but a prism of light, because frequency is a light code. This is the science behind how technology works, because our bodies are computers that operate by deciphering these light codes. Even the colors we see are based on frequency, which makes us human. Human are the decipherers of the light code that is key to unlocking higher dimensions of consciousness within the matrix. And the masculine, or the masculine, is key to accessing the memory of how to do this. Simply put, the vampire sought life through Sammy's light, or rather his connection to the womb. And the church sought light through suppression thereof, because religion is the single most deadly vampire that has brought death to the womb by mortifying the mother and glorifying the father, just like the patriarch did with their narcissistic version of the Sophia story. Now, ain't that a mother...
High octane, feel the flame in my chest. Still from the mud, but I rise like the blessed. This ain't speed, it's grace in motion. Oil in my hips, universe in my ocean. Drip like gold, truth in the rain. Ride through the pain, high octane. Came from the low, now I orbit the crown. Used to whisper to the stars, now they echo my sound. It's that 9D rhythm in a 3D frame. Talk sacred codes in a hood-ass slang. Blessed in the street, but I speak in tongues. Got ancestors riding in my lungs. No flex, just frequency. No war, just energy. I don't scream, I surge. A smooth wave with a holy urge. No hype, just high, no chains, just sky. I don't chase fame, I amplify why. I'm moving like thunder that smiles. Still hood, but I temple these miles. Still real, but I read Akashic files. Still street, but I download the Niles. High octane, feel the flame in my chest. Still from the mud, but I rise like the blessed. This ain't speed, it's grace in motion. Oil in my hips, universe in my ocean. Drip like gold, truth in the rain. Ride through the pain, high octane. Violin strings with a south side drop. Opera soul in the beat that knock. Wheels on the concrete, prayers in the wind. I don't need revenge, I let cycles end. I spit spells, not bars. I move with Mars, but love like Venus in a rose quartz car. High priestess with a G-code twist. Every bar baptism kissed. I ain't just rapping, I'm recalling a whole universe that's been stalling. High octane, feel the flame in my chest. Still from the mud, but I rise like the blessed. This ain't speed, it's grace in motion. Oil in my hips, universe in my ocean. Drip like gold, truth in the rain. Ride through the pain, high octane.